Hello and good evening. Welcome. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live from news about Desawe Kanda, also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. I am Alfred Ocansey. Tonight, former board chair of the Ghana Airports Company Limited, Paul Adom Ochre, fights the Office of the Special Prosecutor's attempt to have him declare his property and income. He is in court on this, and we'll tell you why. Stay with us on Ghana Tonight. Also, the Speaker of Parliament, Aban Sumana Kingsford Bagman, has directed for the relaying of the controversial Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill, also known as Anti-LGBTQ Plus Bill, much against the pleasure of the majority who consider the bill passed already. We'll tell you exactly how it played out all in Parliament earlier today. Stay with us. Also in politics tonight, former chair of the New Patriotic Party, Paul Afoko, declares intent to contest the party's chairmanship, marking a significant development in the race for the chairmanship of the New Patriotic Party. How does this change the dynamics at play right now? Stay with us. We have this and more, including issues about the shutting down of the Teshinongwa desalination plant. That's a water treatment plant. Stay with us. We'll tell you the areas that are going to be affected and what the Ghana Water Company Limited is doing to mitigate the impact of this shutdown. It's always an integral part of the conversation. Let's hear from you. The hashtag we're using is Ghana Tonight on Facebook and on X. Let's get talking. Settle for Ghana Briefs.
Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin has assured that he will get the anti-LGBTQ bill reintroduced, properly passed and signed into law for implementation. He told lawmakers on Tuesday that the old bill passed by the 8th Parliament expired and cannot be regarded as passed for assent by the current president.
The 8th Parliament is history. So are all the businesses that were pending in the 8th Parliament. And so we have a new Parliament, the 9th Parliament. And therefore what was pending there came to an end and had to be reintroduced. Hold your peace, it will come sooner than later. Civil society is getting restless again, but I want to assure them that they know my passion in this matter, and I want to get it properly passed so that implementation becomes easier.
The minority in Parliament has criticized the Attorney General for engaging in what it describes as biased press trials and populism by prosecuting suspects in the public without recourse to the Constitution. Legal counsel to the minority and MP for Swami, John Daku, says the AG, Dr. Dominic Ayini, is repeatedly violating constitutional provisions through his pronouncements of suspects as guilty even before they submit their defense in court.
Competent AGs don't prosecute their cases in the court of public opinion. Competent AGs prosecute their cases in the court where evidence are subject to street proof. In criminal trials, he has a responsibility to prove his case beyond reasonable doubt. this is where you go. Put the evidence before the court. Let the lawyers of the other parties scrutinize the evidence. If it stands the test of time and the court pronounces them guilty, so be it. Why do we bring the evidence to the media for just this media circus to destroy the image of people even before they get a chance to open their defenses?
The Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Ayini, has filed a motion on notice at the Supreme Court, praying the Apex Court for an extension of time to be able to file statement of defense in the suit challenging the processes undertaken to remove former Chief Justice Gertrude Araba Isaba Tukonu. Lawyers of Tafo Member of Parliament Godfred Yebuadami wants the Apex Court to declare the processes for the removal of the former Chief Justice as unconstitutional. The AG, among other things, indicated that due to administrative procedures in relation to the 2025 presidential transition and retirement of the Solicitor General, he had been unable to file the defense. A Kumasi High Court has dismissed an application by Akosua Sewa to halt the funeral rites of High Life legend Daddy Lumba. The court affirmed that the authority over his mortal remains rests with his extended family, not his immediate wife, per the Asante tradition. The ruling was on cultural principle. The court, presided over by Justice Dorinda Smith Arthur, emphasized that, according to Ashanti custom, upon a person's death, the body reverts to its matrilineal roots. Finance Minister Dr. Kaisel Atuforsen has cautioned businesses and the public against trading or pricing goods and services in foreign currencies, particularly the US dollar. Speaking at the official launch of the CD at 60 celebration, Dr. Forsen noted the practice contributes to the country's economic challenges, hence must be stopped immediately.
We must be eschewing the act that seeks to undermine the value of the currency, particularly the pricing of goods and services in foreign currency, the US dollar. As Ghanaians, the Ghana cedi remains the only legal tender. The US dollar is not our currency. The continuous pricing of goods and services in US dollars will only hurt us. Let's stop it, and let us stop it now.
The Black Queens of Ghana have qualified to the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations, which will be hosted in Morocco. The senior national women's team booked a back-to-back WAFCON appearance after defeating the Cleopatras of Egypt 7-0 on aggregate. Doris Dodua's second-half hat-trick alongside Comfort Yeboah's 56th-minute strike gave the Queens a commanding 4-0 victory at home.
It's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com, also on 3 News on YouTube. Coming up next on Ghana Tonight, some sad news that happened earlier today, and that's what we're getting through right now. At least some 14 construction workers have been rescued in critical condition following the collapse of a building, the premises of the Architectural Engineering Group at Roman Ridge here in Accra earlier today. And that's information that we got, and one that we're going to get some quick updates on right now, because from what we gathered earlier, 14 workers who sustained injuries after a story building under construction collapsed on them at Roman Ridge are receiving treatment at the 37 military and the Greater Accra Regional Hospital. We're going to show you the video of this collapsed building. Now, we gather that no fatalities, will confirm that right now, but as of the time this incident happened, no fatalities were recorded earlier today. Reports indicate that the structure caved in around 1 p.m. earlier today, while workers were actively casting concrete for the first floor of the apartment building. Now, several workers were trapped under the debris, sustaining various degrees of injury. Now, this enclave in this Roman Ridge area, we have quite a number of apartments springing up in this area or under construction in this area. Now, a swift response from what we gather and deployment of rescue personnel from the Ghana National Fire Service led to the successful rescue of all trapped construction workers as a result of this. Now, all 14 workers, some in critical condition, we understand, were rushed to the 37 military and the Ridge Hospital for medical attention. The structure is located on a plot between an uncompleted 10-story building and the Ghana Institution of Engineering at Roman Ridge. Now, an eyewitness who saw this collapse spoke to my colleague Stanley Bleo earlier today after this incident happened. Take a look.
We heard a loud, brief sound from the victims trapped beneath the rubble, calling for help. But before we could react, another section of the building collapsed.
There's been a number of these incidents of collapse of buildings, and DO2 Desmond Aka is the National Director of Public Affairs for the Ghana National Fire Service. He is joining us on Zoom right now for a conversation on this. Just get the latest update on this rather unfortunate incident that happened earlier today. DO2 Desmond Aka, thank you so much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. First off, let's establish this. At what time exactly did you get this distress call about this collapse of building? And when you got there, how many people did you confirm that were trapped under the debris?
Well, so let me say a very good evening to your cherished viewers. Well, so we had a distress call at 12:18 this afternoon. So hurriedly, we had to dispatch the rescue team from National Headquarters to respond to the emergency. So when they got there, 12 of the injured had already been taken to the hospital. So we met 2 who were critically injured and had to assist with the extrication and then evacuation to the Ridge Hospital. Apparently, all 14 were male, and we had to cordon off the place and declare the place as a security zone, just to ensure that no intruders get into the affected area and then probably get injured in the process. And then also, we've also directed the site manager to hold on with any further construction works until such a time that we'll be able to conclude our investigation with other relevant stakeholders within the built environment space. News getting in this evening from the affected premises or the company suggests that some of the workers who were injured would be discharged. I think their condition is quite stable, and then they will be discharged this evening. Those whose condition remains critical are also out of danger now, and they are responding well to treatment. So we are hoping and praying that they would recover soon. But we will still want the investigation team to finish with their investigation so that whatever led to this particular unfortunate incident will be made public to your cherished viewers and then the general public as a whole.
Great. I understand that you just got back from the crash site a few minutes ago. But let's establish this, that you say that these persons, and a number of them sustained various degrees of injury. What's the extent of injury that we're talking about here? Some of them you say are serious. If you could just give us some detail.
Also, they suffered some fractures and some bruises on their upper and lower limbs, and therefore they had to be seriously being taken care of. So when we got to the hospital, they had to really put them under intensive care. And we are understanding that they are out of danger. The bleeding and has been stopped. The fracture too have been stabilized, and therefore there is no cause for alarm. I mean, very soon they would also recover fully.
I see. And talk about the investigations that are underway. Any preliminary investigation underway and a possible establishment of the cause of this collapse by the preliminary information or investigation that you've conducted in the last 5, 6 hours?
We don't want to preempt anything. We would want to leave it for the investigative team to conclude their reports. But according to eyewitnesses, this affected story was a 3-story building, and they were trying to cast some concrete, I think, in one of the floors, which led to this unfortunate collapse. But we do not want to preempt anything, but to leave it in the hands of the investigative team, who there are a lot of experts in there who would help us to really ascertain what led to this. And if it happens that people were negligent in exercising their mandates, why not? If there are sanctions, we would welcome it.
But are you able to indeed confirm with certainty that all persons in this building that collapsed have been accounted for as of now? Because we earlier had 14, but that to say they were the only persons in there after you responded to this call and your investigations you've done under the debris so far?
Yes. There were rumors that some other people were even trapped under the rubble, but upon further search and search under the rubbles, it came out that nobody was trapped there, and therefore all persons who were working at the premises have all been accounted for, and we can confirm confidently that it was only 14 that were affected, and as at now, all of them are out of danger, and even some are even billed to be discharged this evening.
Well, some good news and some relief there. But maybe quickly before I let you go, there's been that talk or the suspicion of structural integrity. One of the eyewitnesses that we spoke to had indicated that at some point when they were putting up the building, some persons came around and started asking questions. Have you spoken to some of the eyewitnesses about this suspicion that they had, and some persons who had come there earlier to inspect this structure that was being built, which has collapsed now?
Structure is under construction, and therefore maybe from the hindsight it will be very difficult for you to pinpoint any defects, and like ourselves already mentioned, we will want to leave it to the investigative team, which has a lot of experts there. They may have the technical eye to be able to go into the...
Right. Thank you so much. DO2 Desmond Aka is the Director of Public Affairs for the Ghana National Fire Service. Thank you very much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. It's one that we'll keep an eye on. We'll be updating you on these 14 construction workers. Some of them, we understand, are billed to be discharged, all things being called by the end of day today. They're responding to treatment. We're keeping an eye on that. We'll be updating here on Ghana Tonight on 3news.com as well. And tomorrow morning, so stay with us here on TV3 and on 3FM 92.7. We're coming up next here on Ghana Tonight, former Ghana Airports Company Limited board chair Paul Adomotri battles the special prosecutor in court over an order to declare his assets. Why is he fighting this? Well, we'll tell you, because on the face of it, I mean, all public officers within a particular category, as has been stipulated in the Constitution, are expected to declare their assets before taking office and then after they exit office as well. So it is one that really raises questions as to exactly what is being fought. And that's what we're going to get the details of right now, because former Ghana Airports Company, that's a board chair, Paul Adomotri, has filed an application at the High Court, in fact, seeking to quash a directive by the Office of Special Prosecutor, the OSP, ordering him to declare his property and income. Now, his lawyers, led by former Attorney General Godfrey Yeboah-Dame, argue that the directive issued on August 4, 2025 is unlawful, violates the Office of the Special Prosecutors Act 2017 and its regulations, and constitutes an abuse of office. So what's more, and what's the background to this? Dennis Pabere-Wadam Esquire is with me right now. Dennis, it's always good to have you on matters like this.
Always a pleasure being here, Alfred.
You know, when Paul Adomotri was invited by the special prosecutor, one of the things, the sticky points during that conversation was his declaration that he did not own a house.
He didn't own a landed property, or he has no landed property to his name.
Which became a matter of conversation.
Yes.
And so the OSP following that is asking him to do what?
Yes, so there's more to it than just that invitation and he being detained for a day and released, and that talk about he not having any landed property to his name. Apparently, there was a lot more happening behind the scenes after his release, and that's I'll show you shortly. Before we even get to some of the reliefs that he's seeking from the High Court in respect of this suit, let's backtrack a bit to understand how it all culminated in this particular suit, because this suit is grounded on some events that preceded the instant action. So we go back to August 4. Now, mind you, it was towards the end of July that the OSP invited Paul Adomotri in respect of some investigations the OSP is carrying on in relation to corruption and corruption-related offenses. That has to do with that Evertex logistics company, which is alleged to have some links with SML and all that.
Yes.
And they wanted to investigate, and in that regard, the former board chair, together with the managing director of the airports, the Ghana Airport Company Limited, were subjects of investigation, or suspect, if you like. Now, there was some correspondence between the Office of the Special Prosecutor and then Paul Adomotri in respect of that particular matter. The first one occurred on August 4, 2025, and which was a notice to declare property and income. That was a letter from the OSP to Paul Adomotri. And the content of that letter, or the summary of it, was to the effect that the OSP had directed Paul to declare property and income within 30 days. It didn't end there. The OSP warned that failure to do so would amount to an offense. An offense which is not mentioned. And also that any undeclared asset would be liable to confiscation. That is to say, declare your income and then your property. If there are any other things that are in your name which you do not declare, then those will become liable to confiscation.
I see.
Then the other leg of it is that if you fail to do so, it is an offense. So take note of that. Two things. Now, lawyers...
So, yes, declare what is in your name.
Yes.
As what you own.
Yes.
And then your income.
Yes.
Is it...
If you don't do so...
in his current status, or while he was bought here?
No, in his current status.
Of his current income, what he earns.
And what you own.
What he owns. And
now,
if he doesn't declare
it says that if you don't do that, if you fail to comply within 30 days, it is an offense. And that if there's anything that you fail to declare, which we find that it is in your name, then that will become liable to confiscation.
So how about if there's a beneficial owners?
Let's move forward. You get the clearer picture as we progress.
Fantastic.
Now, on August 25, Paul, through his lawyers, write back to the OSP in respect of this particular letter. The content and the summary of it is that they were not too enthused about the letter because, in their view, it was a violation of the rights of Paul. It was even unlawful. It was not in consonance with the very laws that set up the office of the OSP. So what did they do? They challenged the legality of the OSP's directive. And in their view, when the OSP said failure to declare would amount to an offense, they said that amount to a threat. They also described that as being unlawful and that it is in excess of the powers that set up the OSP. What they did finally was to request that the letter be withdrawn or there should be some reconsideration of the directive. So this was the response of Paul through his lawyers. Fast forward, September 3, 2025, OSP responds to the letter from Paul's lawyers. And in that letter, OSP insists that the directive must be complied with. And that the notice was verbatim reproduction of statutory provisions and that Paul was obliged to comply. In other words, the OSP was saying that whatever was contained in that first letter requesting him to declare his income and property was just a reproduction of what the law says.
Right.
Except to say that the OSP in that letter did not point out to the specific provision of the law that was produced verbatim as is indicated there.
Because you see, one of the contentions of Paul Ademoche's lawyers is that this demand violates the OSP's own law.
Yes.
And the OSP is responding to that essentially?
So let's take a look at the exact wording of the OSP's letter or letters to Paul. This is the first letter. Notice to declare property and income. It says, you are directed to declare, as per the attached notice and forms, your property and income to the office of the Special Prosecutor, OSP. Take note that you commit an offense if you fail to return the completed forms to the OSP within 30 days of your receipt of the notice, and if you intentionally or negligently fail to disclose any information. Further, take notice that any property or income you fail to declare is liable to confiscation to the Republic. That was the first letter. So when Paul's lawyers raised concerns about the legality of it, and also asking that it be withdrawn and then also reconsidered, OSP's second response.
This is on the 25th of August, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I refer to your... So this was in response to a letter that Paul's lawyers wrote on the 25th. I refer to your communication dated 25th August 2025. You will reckon that the forms and notice served on your client are a verbatim reproduction of statutory provisions without any attempt at superimposition of opinion by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Your client is required to comply with the directive in the notice. Please accept the compliments of the highest consideration. So the OSP is simply insisting that I am acting within law and that the forms I have given you are forms that are taken from the law. So kindly comply. Let's continue with the timelines and see what happened next.
Right.
So Paul, through his lawyers, sent a letter, and that letter was accompanied by the submission of the declaration forms. Now, the content of that simply is that the forms were submitted, that is, the property and the income declarations, and that it was done under protests, reiterating that the OSP's directive was unlawful and an abuse of power.
And it was done under protest.
It was done, however, it was done under protests. Now, these are the facts that set or that culminated into the instant suit. That having raised issues already about the legality of this and also pointing out to possible abuse of the OSP's powers, he proceeds to instruct his lawyers to institute an action asking for specific reliefs from the court. That one, the court should make a declaration that the Special Prosecutor's directive for him to declare property and income is unlawful and abuse of power. So now you see where he's coming from.
Exactly.
Based on what we have seen, now he says that that directive should be declared unlawful and an abuse of power. The second is that he wants an order of certiorari to quash that directive for violating due process and provisions of the OSP Act and its regulations, simply saying that this particular move is not in consonance with the OSP's laws. There's a third one, wanting the court to make a declaration that the special prosecutor's threat of legal action, that's why OSP says that we failed to do, is an offense, and that a threat of confiscation and detention are unlawful and a violation of the applicant's right. Applicant here refers to Paul. And then finally, he wants an order restraining the OSP or the special prosecutor from detaining or violating the applicant's rights, Paul's rights, for refusing to comply with the unlawful directive of 4th August. So he wants declarations made to the effect that there's a violation of his rights, that the act itself is unlawful. He wants that the process be quashed, and also he wants the OSP to be prohibited from carrying out the threats and the things that the OSP said he's actually going to do.
I see. The threat of what? So that, I mean, now he says he's complied. So I said, what's that to mean is he
complied under protests.
Yes. But then he supplied the information the OSP asked for?
Well, we're not too sure of. What he did was to submit the forms. As to whether the forms were done the way they are supposed to be done, he says that he has done so under protest.
Okay. Does that also then shield him of whether or not the information in there is accurate or otherwise? Because the OSP says if you don't declare all the property in your name, if it is found out that there's more that you own in your name that is not on the said form, it will be confiscated to the state.
Yes.
And that's the threat that he is gone
seeking to stop. Else, if it turns out, just for purposes of analysis, that the OSP receives the forms and then there are some things which have not been declared and the OSP is of the view that those things are for him and they make any attempt to confiscate, the court should intervene to stop that process altogether. In fact, they did indicate that the process for confiscation in the law is not one that can be done at the stage of investigation. So they actually point out what, in their view, the law is and how the OSP is not following the law. Now, this suit was brought to the attention of the public by the OSP, who had posted on social media as to the pendency of this suit. Paul also responded to that notice. And this is what you have here. Paul says that the attention of Paul Adumochire has been drawn to reports which suggest that he seeks to institute a legal action to prevent the OSP from having access to information on his assets through an asset declaration form issued by the OSP. Now, for avoidance of doubts, Mr. Adumochire already filled the forms requested by the OSP and submitted same. So this part, Alfred, answers the question of whether he filled the forms and submitted or not. He says he has done so on the 23rd of October 2025. That he submitted a letter of protest dated the same day, 23rd of October 2025, and attached same to the form, indicating concern about the process. And that as a matter of record, the OSP's asset declaration forms have been completed and submitted to the OSP on the 23rd of October 2025, and that he, Paul, remains committed to assisting the OSP to bring finality to the issues in question, and that the purpose of the legal action, the one we just looked at, is to settle the law and procedure on the matter. So these are the matters we are dealing with, Alfred.
Very interesting matters at play, and also following on what Paul Adumochire himself has put out there as well, responding to this OSP's earlier release, which we've gone through quite copiously on their Facebook page. What it brings to the fore is that we already know the declaration of Paul Adumochire when it comes to his ownership of landed property. He says he doesn't have any landed property in his name.
Well, he reiterates that in his affidavit in support. And what that means is that when you make an affidavit in support, those are sworn statements. You actually make them under oath.
Yes.
So he has actually reiterated the fact that he does not have any property in his name.
And the OSP...
I mean, landed property.
Landed property.
Yes.
And the OSP's forms is inquiring of him to state whether there's any property or anything in his name, income.
Yes.
So if there's any information contrary to that statement he made under oath, what's the position of the law on this?
That is what Paul is trying to stop. That the OSP does not even have the power at this stage to do whatever he's doing. And that, however, he has complied with what the OSP wants him to do. But he's protesting that, and he wants the law to settle as to whether he, as Paul, in his capacity as a former board chair of the Ghana Airports Company Limited, is one who can be a subject of such a procedure. So those are matters that the court will settle in the coming days. However, we don't see the return date on the face of the application. That means it's yet to be determined, and we'll follow that issue quite keenly to bring to our viewers.
Absolutely. You're an officer of the court, so it's one that I know for sure that we'll keep an eye on. Thank you. Dennis Babaywadam, and it's a number of you have been reacting to this. This is Ghana Tonight. But let's go to Parliament, because earlier today, in Parliament, Speaker of Parliament Alban Sumana Kingsford-Bagbin, that's coming up next, ordered the controversial anti-LGBTQ plus bill to be relayed, a move against majority's wish, who insist it's already passed. Now, what happens next? Now, if you recall last week, Honorable Mahama Yadaga, the majority leader, was clear in his words that to the extent that Parliament had, the 8th Parliament had finished its work on this bill, there's really no reason why. In fact, he was surprised when he saw it on the order paper for that first day of the reopening of Parliament. Well, the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Alban Sumana Kingsford-Bagbin, has assured that he will get the anti-LGBTQ plus bill reintroduced, properly passed, and signed into law for implementation. He told lawmakers earlier today that the old bill passed by the 8th Parliament expired and cannot be regarded as passed for assent by the current president, John Mahama. Take a look.
8th Parliament is history. So are all the businesses that were pending in the 8th Parliament. And so we have a new Parliament, the 9th Parliament. And therefore, what was pending there came to an end and had to be reintroduced. Hold your peace, it will come sooner than later. Civil society is getting restless again, but I want to assure them that they know my passion in this matter. And I want to get it properly passed so that implementation becomes easier. There are a few things that our attention has been drawn to, which we'll work on together here, so that when we pass the bill, it's a bill that is accepted by all.
Well, this position, as espoused by the Speaker earlier today, generated some conversation on the floor of the House, especially because of the positions that had been taken by the Majority Leader last week and the Minority Leader also taking that position, that to the extent that this matter became a matter of politics, this has to be done. But this is what ensued in Parliament earlier today.
I thought the fastest way is to treat the bill as having been passed. But if you want us to start all over again, I want to assure you that this side of our house is ready to start all over again. Officials appointed by the NPP, sitting at the presidency, wrote a letter threatening this Parliament not to bring the bill there. And today, you are sitting here and pretending and behaving as if you are so interested in having the bill enacted, when you had every opportunity in this country to have the bill enacted.
We wait patiently for that day. But, Mr. Speaker, our friends must know that sometimes when they place a rat poison on another man's tongue, it will not take too long for they themselves to taste that rat poison. We are patiently waiting for this LGBT bill.
I take solace in the assurance of the Majority Leader that we stand in readiness to support the process of enacting a law that will make the practice intolerable and unacceptable in this House. If they have changed their position, I would have wished that they would do so with their former president. But even if they are unable to, we welcome them on board, because this is a cause for Ghana.
What the Ghanaian people want is to have a law which promotes good sexual conduct in Ghana and which prevents LGBTQ. Don't go and change the 8th Parliament bill Don't go and water it down. Don't go and revise it and bring it to the 9th Parliament and have the President assent to it, assent to a bill which is not fit for purpose. We want the 8th Parliament bill for the 9th Parliament to consider. Verbatim, don't change it.
Well, the civil society groups have also been talking about this and indicated that in the coming days they would make their position quite clear on it. Earlier, when we spoke of it to Adam Senanu, co-chair of the Advocates for Christ, they indicated that this happenings in Parliament would inform their position publicly in the coming days. So we'll wait for that. But coming up next on Ghana Tonight, the former New Patriotic Party chair, Paul Afoko, is back. He's declared his bid to reclaim the party's top seat. I'm talking about the national chairmanship race for the New Patriotic Party. How will his comeback shake up the race? And this is a man who is not new to the presidency. That's the chairmanship of the NPP. Now, the former national chair of the New Patriotic Party, Paul Afoko, has formally announced his intention to contest the national chairmanship position of the opposition NPP in the upcoming election of the national officers. And that alongside the flag bearership has been heating up in a very interesting way. And some of the names coming up is one that sends signals and also generates conversation in the larger scheme of things as to how, if the national executive face of the NPP changes, how that also would complement, impact, and influence how the flag bearership race would also play out, or how the flag bearership race would shape the election of the national executives of the NPP. Well, this announcement, made in a press release earlier today, marks Paul Afoko's return to political frontline after years of remaining largely under the radar following a highly controversial suspension, if you recall. And prior to the 2016 elections, we saw a number of things that took place. And this is a man, he's not new to the chairmanship of the New Patriotic Party. And the very controversial circumstances, he was suspended from the party, including, well, guess what? Another person who was suspended, that's Kwabena J. Japon, the general secretary of the party, is also now seeking to be the flag bearer of the party. So there are two persons. Well, it's just one other person who is not in there as well. That's the persons who were suspended, Sami Krab, but he's also been making his position quite clear on matters arising within the New Patriotic Party. But these are the persons who have declared their intentions to contest the chairmanship of the NPP. One-time flag bearer Hofpo Boache Jako, he declared reasons why he was not contesting. This time for the flag bearership, he decided to go for the top job of the party's leadership, that's the chairmanship. And then also Bernardin Chobosiako, Chairman Wontumi, is currently the Ashanti Regional Chair of the NPP. He wants to elevate his position in the party to the national level as a national chair. John Boydu, former General Secretary of the party, also former SIGA boss, seeking to lead the party as its chairman. Stephen Asamoah Boateng as well, former Minister, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, is in there. And Edward Boateng, well, is playing a very submarine approach, says he's former ambassador to China, and also Kwesi Amakwata, former Minister for Roads and Highways, it's there as well. And then the latest to add on, former chairman of the NPP who was suspended. In fact, if you recall, Paul Afoko consistently had indicated that the party, in his view, needs to be rescued. Well, Paul Afoko is in there now, and that brings the number to 7. 7 people who have openly declared their intentions to contest the chairmanship for the New Patriotic Party. Let's go on to Zoom right now. And Dr. Jonathan Asantiochi is a political analyst, senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast. Dr. Asantiochi, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. This is a man who, talking about Paul Afoko, is not new to the chairmanship of the NPP, having won that Congress in Tamale on the 12th of April in 2014. Now he's coming at a very interesting time, is it not? How do you analyze this announcement from him to contest the chairmanship of the MPP?
Well, Alfred, let me say good evening to your good self and to our viewers. The point is that this particular announcement comes to me as an interesting addition, to the list of those who will want to contest for that particular position, that is the chairmanship of the party. It's quite interesting in the sense that I've sat down and analyzed. I think that the chairmanship position is even becoming more attractive than the presidential slot. And probably it is all because of the amendment that the party made with respect to the fact that, look, when you are the chairman of the party, you are the leader, whether the party is in the opposition or the party is in government. And so I'm of the view that probably that's the more reason why, we have such a list, a tall list of people wanting to become chairperson or chairman of the party. That said, I think that Mr. Paul Afoko has really conducted himself very well in opposition, so to speak. Of course, the party was in government, but he was in opposition, because you never heard a word from him, politically, administratively, that was to create any kind of problem. And so that's why I said that it's an interesting addition. He stands at a place where he could easily gain some kind of sympathy vote, because if in actual fact those who believe in the fact that the means by which he was booted out in terms of the indefinite suspension that was given to him and that of Mr. Kwabena Japon, if we are to believe that, and those who find themselves within the party are to believe that that particular decision was wrongly communicated and wrongly done, then it means that he stands at a better position to attract some kind of sympathy vote. His only disadvantage will be the fact that he's been in the political doldrum. There are many others who have been at the forefront of politics of today. And so I will believe that he has become a little bit rusty. Well, it is also possible that he was just warming up on the bench to come, with all that full swagger that you may want to put forth in terms of the competition that is yet to be announced. And so I will say that I'll reiterate the fact that it is an interesting addition, and I see it more as a relaunching of his political career.
I see. But then it's coming at a time when the NPP chairman, as you do know, public knowledge, he's not well. Stephen Ayensun team. There's an acting chairman, as well. Then the party is in opposition, and there's a flag bearer race that is also being hotly contested. How does all of this play into the bigger picture of what the MPP seeks to do in opposition and seeking to come back into power in 2028?
In all of this, I think that the MPP is at a crossroads. They find themselves in all manner of problems and troubles. And so they need experienced hands, as it were, to come and take over the party. And so whichever you look at it, if, for example, Mr. Kennedy Japon should win, or Dr. Bawumia should win the flag bearership, obviously they will need to get other personalities or other individuals that are very solid on the ground, that are very disciplinary, and then to ensure that they are the sticklers of the rule, and that in itself will help stabilize the party. But if you look at the whole, terrain of the party, we are talking about 5 presidential candidates. We are talking about 7 becoming hopeful, as it were, for the chairmanship. That has become the most attractive position within the party. Then it means that the MPP will have a lot more work to do, because if you look at the individuals, example, that are showing interest in a chairmanship, that means that that is going to be the most keenly contested position within the party. I mean, everybody knows my position on Mr. Wuntumi. I don't think that the party deserves such an albatross around their neck. In actual fact, I was equally thinking that he could serve, the purpose of the party, by going for the national organizer.
I see.
Yes, that is because of the way and manner he
Right.
conduct himself. That in itself could inure to his benefit in terms of what he brings on board. But national chairmanship or even general secretaryship, I think that will make the party a butt of joke. But that being said, you look at personalities like Mr.
Right.
Yeah, fantastic personality. But that particular slot, if the Tabaumia is to win the flag bearership, that'll be very difficult for him because they may want to find, a balance, as it were, from all the angles and all the factions there is within the party. And
Okay.
so I think that, we have interesting days ahead of us, or some months ahead of us,
Indeed.
as far as the party is concerned.
Very interesting days to look at as well. Dr. Jonathan Asanchotre, thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. We're back after this quick break. We'll tell you the areas that will be impacted by the Ghana Water Company's temporary shutdown of the Teshi desalination plant. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is Ghana Tonight. Now, a statement that came through earlier today from the Ghana Water Company Limited announcing the shutdown of the Teshi Nungwa desalination plant. Now, we've got details of this statement signed by Stanley Mante. And the reason for this, we understand, follows unresolved contractual issues and the prolonged lack of critical maintenance required to sustain efficient and safe operations of the desalination plant. That's the detail that we got. Plus, they say the desalination plant has, over the years, served as a vital source of potable water to communities including Teshi, Nungwa, Spintex, parts of Sakoma, La, and surrounding areas. So all these areas will be affected by the shutdown of this Teshi desalination plant. Teshi, Nungwa, Spintex, parts of Sakoma, La, and surrounding areas. What measures have they put in place? They say they've put some mitigation measures to minimize the impact of the shutdown. They are rerouting water from alternative treatment plants, prioritizing essential service facilities such as hospitals, schools, and health centers. So that is what is happening right now. Now, we will be in the communities listed here tomorrow to assess the impact, because already a number of you in these areas have told us that prior to this announcement today, you didn't have water flowing through your taps for a number of days, 2-3 days now, even prior to today. So Klagong and Lashibi and these areas, we understand you also had some issues with water flowing through your taps. So stay with us tomorrow. We're knocking on the doors of the Ghana Water Company Limited. We understand Ashaiman, we're getting calls from Ashaiman as well. Kakasunanka, all those areas, water has not been flowing for the past few days gone by. So we will ask questions of the Ghana Water Company tomorrow on Ghana Tonight. So make a date with us. On behalf of the rest of the team, we do appreciate your company. I am Alfred Ocansey. Have a good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by Flamingo Paint, superior durability.